Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Mama Gnativirandasya Gnanandana Shalakaya. Akshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Yadvaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gauravakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 329.4 कालस्त्येश्वररूपस्य परेषां च परस्य ते स्वरूपं बत कुर्वन्ति यद्धेतो कुशलं जनाः. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. So Devahuti is asking various questions. So previously she said, describe cause of birth, because by hearing such calamities one becomes detached from the activities of material world. Also, representation, eternal time, by whose influence people engage in pious activities. So pious activities, circle of birth and death, all this she's asking. However ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance, everyone is aware of the influence of eternal time, which devours all the effects of our material activities. So we should remember this. Kala devours, destroys all the effects of our material activities. Whatever we are trying to do materially today, everything will be destroyed. The body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of the birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. Every day gone by is gone. One more day less in this body. Everyone is conscious of the last stage of life when he will meet the cruel hands of death. But some consider their age and circumstances, concern themselves with the influence of time, and thus engage in pious activities, so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or animal species. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment and so aspire for life of the heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable or other pious activities. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, generally people are attached to sense enjoyment, but through vikarma, not through punya. What Prabhupada is saying here is through punya, but that is future happiness, not current happiness. But people in this time and age are worried only about current happiness. They don't even care about future life. Many of them don't even know about future life. They just care about their immediate satisfaction, praise, and they engage in sinful activities, because the only way one can actually experience happiness, or so-called happiness beyond what is allocated, is by engaging in vikarma. So vikarma gives some sense of happiness, but we should understand that it is totally unacceptable. It will result in more trouble. Why they are engaging in karma? Because their normal karma, punya, is very meager. So they are not able to experience naturally happiness in their life. So they engage in sinful activities for extracting happiness in this material world, which is further sinful and which results in more suffering. But actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth and death, even if he goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka. Because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Lokasya mityaभिमतेर चक्षुषस् चिरं प्रसुप्तस्य तमस्य नाश्रये शान्तस्य कर्मस्वनुविद्धया धिया त्वं मा विरासी किल योगभास्करः. My dear Lord, you're just like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities. Because their eyes of knowledge are not open, they're sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they're falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued. This is the reality of our material life. I just shared one message. I've been reading Prabhupada Lilamrita. So one very beautiful message. Yeah, it is just like you are on a boat, Prabhupada replied. So what is the question? Bhagavata Dasa raised his hand. How is it that we are on transcendental platform, but sometimes we are affected by three modes of nature? It is just like you are on a boat. If you're on the boat, then I cannot say you're not on the boat, is it not? So you're on the transcendental boat. Therefore, you're on the transcendental platform. You cannot say that you're not. But the waves are coming and they're rocking the boat. So the waves of the material nature are coming and they're rocking the boat. But when you become an expert boatman, then even in the greatest storm, you can stay steady and steer the boat and it will not rock. So actually, we are being rocked by the actions and reactions of our material, by our reactions of our previous material activities. We are being rocked. And so generally people appear very fatigued. They're tired of their situation. And that is the reason for that is because they're sleeping in darkness without knowing the real position. So Devotee is saying you're like the sun, you eliminate the darkness, you bring them to light. Ajnanatimirandasya gnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitamena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It appears that Srimati Devahuti, the glorious mother of Lord Kapiladev, is very compassionate for the regrettable condition of people in general, who, not knowing the goal of life, are sleeping in the darkness of illusion. Now, people outside, common people, are actually sleeping in the darkness of illusion. We should also not be sleeping in the darkness of illusion, even though we have come to light. Though we have come to light, every now and then we seem to be pushing ourselves into darkness. We should just try to remain in the light. That's all. The solution to our problem is just try to remain in light, which means that try to remain in Krishna consciousness, in touch with Krishna consciousness. That's all. When we are not in touch with Krishna consciousness, meaning our consciousness is not in Krishna, we might be holding a chanting bead in our hand, but our consciousness is not in Krishna. Then then we enter darkness of illusion. It is a general feeling of the Vaishnava or devotee of the Lord that he should awaken them. This should be the general feeling of all devotees, to wake up ourselves and to wake up others also. Similarly, Devahuti is requesting her glorious son to illuminate the lives of the conditioned souls so that their most regrettable conditional life may be ended. The Lord is described here as Yoga Bhaskara, son of the system of all yoga. Devotee has already requested her glorious son to describe Bhakti Yoga, and the Lord has described Bhakti Yoga as the ultimate yoga system. Bhakti Yoga is the sun-like illumination for delivering the conditioned souls, whose general condition is described here. They have no eyes to see their own interests. They do not know that the goal of life is not to increase the material necessities of this existence, because the body will not exist more than a few years. What does this mean? Goal of life is not to increase the material necessities of existence. What does this mean? Can somebody explain?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
So technically means that we need not plan much for this life as such, because
Okay.
anyways we are going to leave.
Okay. Okay, what else?
We should not indulge in sense gratification beyond the necessities. Like, we should not indulge in luxuries and all that.
Okay.
Beyond that is needed to keep the body and soul together.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, material. Yeah.
Endeavoring more for material possessions.
Yeah, endeavoring more for material possessions. Yeah, so material necessities, the material necessities, we can say, okay, food, shelter, clothes. So we should not increase. We should not increase the necessities. That's all we need. Then we say, I want this, I want that, I want something else. Previously I used to have a watch with the dial. Now, which used to anyway all the time show, always show the time, right? I didn't have to mm, tap it. I didn't have to turn my wrist so that it will detect, sense my turning my wrist. All unnecessary stuff. Why all this fancy? And we as devotees, we also go in that line. We also say, yeah, I also want to have a smartwatch. No, this is just increasing necessities, right? And the more things we have, the more headache to maintain. Something gets conked off, then go to fix it, and it's just wasting precious time and energy. So just keep it simple. Just keep it simple as possible, right? Where whatever is required for Krishna consciousness, we should acquire, and whatever just to keep body and soul together, as simple. See, this is not a enforcement. This is not like some force that you should not do this at all or not do that at all. Like, because that depends on each individual. But we should understand the crux. Crux is not to get entangled in all these material things, so that our time and energy just goes towards taking care of them. So no need to increase. Just whatever is required, just keep it. That's enough. And Krishna says, yeah, Yogakshemam Bahamyam, he'll keep it. He'll give whatever is not there with us also, provided we are Ananyas Chintayantoma. We are all the time thinking about Krishna, serving Krishna, etc. The living beings are eternal and they have their eternal need. If one engages only in caring for the necessities of the body, not caring for the eternal necessities of life, then is part of a civilization whose advancement puts the living entities in the darkest region of ignorance. Sleeping in the darkest region, one does not get any refreshment, but rather gradually becomes fatigued. He invents many processes to adjust this fatigue condition, but he fails and thus remains confused. The only path for mitigating his fatigue in the struggle for existence is the path of devotional service, or the path of Krishna consciousness. Maitre Uvacha Iti Maturvachashlakshnam Pratinandya Mahamunihi Abhashe Kurukshreshta Kritastam Kurunarditaha. Sri Maitreya said, O best amongst the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows. Lord Kapila was very pleased by the request of his glorious mother because she was thinking not only in terms of her personal salvation, but in terms of all fallen conditioned souls. God is always compassionate towards the fallen souls of this material world, and therefore he comes himself to send his confidential servants to deliver them. Since he is perpetually compassionate towards them, if some of his devotees also become compassionate towards them, he is very pleased with the devotees. So this is very, very important to understand. What does it mean by being compassionate towards others? What does it mean to be compassionate towards others? Hmm? Anybody?
And not to criticize them in any situations.
Not to criticize, okay.
Preaching Krishna consciousness to them, Prabhu.
Yeah, giving Krishna consciousness is the highest compassion. Now, giving Krishna consciousness means what?
To get them out of this cycle of birth and death.
To get them out, right? So it's not just lip service. This compassion is not lip service. Lip service means, okay, somebody is like, for example, on the street, somebody is hungry. We just give them some money. This is lip service. We are not really concerned about them. We just say, okay, I'll give some money. Maybe it'll be enough. Right? Real compassion means giving Krishna consciousness in such a way, and which is the big response to you that preachers have. We just think, most people think, okay, I gave compassion, I gave Krishna consciousness. What is the result? I got the devotee initiated. Done. I'm done. Then what happens to the devotee? What happens to devotee's progress? No compassion there. All right. So we think that just in giving people Krishna consciousness is one compassion, but helping devotees to actually make progress, making them to actually give compassion to others, that is real compassion, right? So the compassion doesn't end by just bringing somebody to Krishna consciousness, but the compassion should continue in helping them make progress. Unfortunately, most of our you know most of the effort in ISKCON is just more focused on just bringing people into Krishna consciousness, but not helping them make progress. So that is also part of the compassion, because the idea is to finally help them achieve perfection, for which we also have to make progress. If we don't make progress, how can we help others? So it automatically necessitates us to become serious in Krishna consciousness. If there are people whom we are preaching to, we can't remain neophytes and expect them to make progress. So we also have to make progress, which means that we will also become, our Krishna consciousness will also become serious, and which is why we have to preach. If you don't preach, if you are just, yeah, I did my chanting, I did my reading, I heard my class, I went to work, I earned money, I gave some money to Krishna, done. This is not going to help us make serious progress. We can give our money to Krishna, but at the same time, we should use the money to actually preach, promote Krishna consciousness. And promote Krishna consciousness, preach means, okay, we might not hold the mic and preach ourselves. If you can do that, that's good. But if you can't, we can at least organize the program. We can invite people to come and join. We can make prasadam. We can distribute prasadam. We can do all the other things as well. So definitely Lord is pleased by all these activities. So actively engage yourself in preaching Krishna consciousness. See, that is a life of a devotee. Unfortunately, for many years, we just keep tending ourselves. We just keep taking care of ourselves. We go sit in Bhagavatam, we hear, then we dance in Kirtan or we sing in Kirtan, we have prasadam, and then we go home. But we can't continue like this forever. This is just honeymoon period for new devotees, just so that they develop the taste and attachment to Krishna consciousness. Once we have developed the taste, then we have to go out and preach. I see devotees months after months, years after years, they're just simply still coming as guests, hearing, honoring prasadam, going. Krishna is not pleased with this. Krishna is pleased, yeah, because somebody is taking Krishna's name, but he's really pleased when we are compassionate towards others and distribute Krishna consciousness. Giving out books. And it's not that we just distribute books and then forget it. We have to take contacts, we have to be in touch with them, we have to connect them to some preaching center. All these things have to be done. So somehow we have to preach. We have to reach books out, we have to engage, talk to people. For all this, if we are just focused on increasing our material necessities in life, we cannot engage in all these activities, right? In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that persons who are trying to elevate the condition of fallen souls by preaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, namely full surrender unto the person of Godhead, are very dear to him. See, Krishna, preacher becomes very dear to Krishna. And that's the perfection of our life. if you can become dear to Krishna. Just when the Lord saw that his beloved mother was very compassionate towards the fallen souls, he was pleased. And he also became compassionate towards her. See, this is the beauty. See, actually, this is the secret of making progress. Actually, in the morning, I was thinking, saying that we are simply dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Actually, there's nothing else. We can just do some little trivial, some little endeavor. That's all we can do. But it is just purely the mercy of the Lord that can actually make us progress. And when will Lord shower his mercy? When he's pleased with us. So when we do little preaching, he's pleased and he'll become compassionate towards us. And then we will make progress. And then we'll preach more. Then he'll be pleased more. Then he'll be more compassionate. He will give more mercy. And it's how a devotee goes back to Krishna. In some relation, I had written to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And in reply, he just said that engage yourself in spreading the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and automatically perfection will come. To that extent, I'm paraphrasing, right? So the important part is that we have to preach. If we don't have fire of preach, actually we just think, okay, I'm going to do some service, some little service, and then I'm done. And what services we do? Those services that are dear to us. And then we think, okay, I'm done. But really, if we are doing that service and Krishna is pleased, and then he will give us the fire of preaching. Will give us the fire of preaching. See this in what should I say? Inward looking services, like this is for older people, like sitting and doing flower garlands or something else. This is for older people who cannot go out. Everybody else who is young and fit and fine should be out there, outside. Preaching means outside, right? Other services we can give it to people who can't run around, right? Who can't go, who don't have the energy, strength, and to run around, and others should go. Especially, sometimes I keep wondering, saying youngsters, be it males or females, uh, they should not be sitting. I see brahmacharis sitting in the temple and reading. They're like, what? How much can one read? What are do they want to become some pandits? Prabhupada's program was very simple. Everybody, including brahmacharis, grihasthas, everybody has to be out. There's a morning program and evening program for studying, right? And some time in the afternoon for rest, etc., etc. But there should be a significant time of the day also spent for preaching. There's one conversation which Prabhupada asked, why are grihasthas in Maya? He says, yeah, they have to be in Maya. Family, children, wife, husband, needs, this, that. They have to be in Maya. But if we preach, then we will not be in Maya. Otherwise, by default, we are tuned like this. Okay, Saturday morning, okay, go shopping, go grocery shopping, do this, do that. But nowadays, I mean, all this is like old-fashioned stuff, right? Like nowadays, you can sit at home and get groceries home. So make use of technology, make use of whatever so-called services available. You free yourself from doing mundane stuff as much as possible and focus, invest time to preach, right? But for that, we need fire. And that fire will come only when we realize that Krishna is very pleased, becomes very pleased with us if we actually do this preaching work. And all of us want Krishna's mercy. The easiest way to get mercy is just by preaching. Preach, preach, preach. We should go out and preach. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Okay, I'll just read this verse. It sets the tone for. Yeah, I'll just read this one verse. Bhagavan Vacha. Bhakti yoga bahuvidho margair bhavyate bhava guna margena pumsam bhavo vividyate. At Kapila, the personality of God had replied, "O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of the different qualities of the executor." So this is very, very important, the following 3 verses. It shows how we can end up doing different types of devotional service which are actually not devotional service. So it's very, very important. It clears the illusion of many devotees who think they're actually doing devotion, but they are not doing devotion. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness is one because in pure devotional service, there's no demand from the devotee to be fulfilled by the Lord. Okay, this is understood. Pure devotion is understood. But generally, people take to devotional service with a purpose. Said in Bhagavad Gita, people who are not purified take to devotional service with 4 purposes. Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, Gnani. Person who is distressed because of material condition becomes a devotee of the Lord and approaches the Lord for mitigation of his distress. Person in need of money approaches the Lord to ask for some improvement in his monetary condition. Others who are not in distress or in need of money, monetary assistance, but are seeking knowledge, Jignasu, in order to understand the absolute truth, also take to devotional service. And they inquire into the nature of the Supreme Lord. This is very nicely described in Bhagavad Gita 7.16. Actually, the path of devotional service is one without a second. But according to the devotee's condition, devotional service appears in multifarious varieties, as will be nicely explained in the following verses. Okay, let's stop here. Are there any questions, comments? All clear? Anybody wants to say anything? Okay, and we'll close. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhishta Kripasi Devacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namananda ki Vaishnavanda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.